One of the things in nature is energies always move in vorticular patterns. In other words, in spirals. Energy never moves in a straight line. That's an artificial construct. That's what you do with a gun and a bullet. You shoot it and it moves. And even actually, I'll correct myself there, the bullet itself has to turn, has to spiral in order to go straight. Right. So even in that motion, there is a vorticular motion. And this is one of the things in nature. When you look at the way a sprout, when it germinates, it starts to turn and it starts to do a corkscrew because that's how it expresses itself naturally. It's like when you watch it, it grows up and it grows into two leaves, and then those two divide and go into two, and it does this pattern. Now, in a flat, simplistic way, it's this 1.618 to 1, the ratio expressing itself. When you allow nature to come in, there's also this, I don't like the word chaos because it's not chaos. It's the individuation of that expression. Right. In other words, the consciousness that's overlaid on top of that simple mathematical skeleton, right? In other words, it's like in a family when you have, 5 kids. Let's say there's 5 boys. Each one looks unique. They still have the same genetic markings and patterns as their parents, yet there's a uniqueness to each one. And that's that consciousness, that's that template, that overlay that comes in, that says it's not just a machine stamping out, replicating, cloning.
That goes back to me with the idea of the one and the many, where we all come from the puddle in essence, but when we get crystallized back into form, we have our individualized, crystallized essence. Like when you look at any stone or rock, it's an individual piece. No one of them is the same, but they're all structured out of the same thing.
Correct.
But it also takes me back to the notion of Stan Tenet's work.
Correct.
And Stan Tenet's work, why don't you explain that? Because it is the toroid, but how it actually unfolds your reality and how it even is expressed within your hand shape in your body. Mm-hmm. Go for that, because I know you can explain that.
Well, Stan Tenet's work is amazing. I mean, his website, www.meru.org, he basically says that in the basic tenet, your hand, if you take your thumb and your fingers and you do the vortex like this around, and it comes and it does this, right? Well, that movement of the hand with the gestures creates all the flame letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And the thing is, it's amazing because if you take your hand, right, what are you doing when you're looking at it? Your perspective shift is where you're looking at it from. Well, that's 4D looking at 3D. So it's, and when you look at it that way, it's a very impressive construct of mind again.
Well, there was something that came to me that was when I was working on the book as well, and it's the notion of the pyramid, which I know Stan Tennant does the notion of the tent. Mm-hmm. And the pyramid has to do with a prism, and everything comes from a source, and then we're just part of the spectrum of the one light, of the one source. And when I looked at that, and you look at all of the religions, the Godhead often has the triangle, and the disciples often have the circular aura that goes with it. So there's a distinguishing mark between one and the other. But it also made me think of we are all light. We're all part of the spectrum. So we're all part of that wave. And that's where I think science bridges where the new and the old come in. Yeah, I know you're can you explain that flame of light?
Yeah, basically the first, in the Platonic solids, when you're looking at structures, crystalline structures, the first Platonic solid is a tetrahedron, a base and 3 sides. A tetrahedron basically has 4 points, 3 on the bottom, 1 on the top, and if you connect the lines, right, that's a tent. And then from the top, you bring down the vortex, and you spiral it down, and you have that flame letter that shows up. And so they call that the tent with the light of God, or the meeting place of God.